My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my video on why the ending of Fast X sucks. And this will be a spoiler-filled review, so if you haven't seen it, there's your warning. But I watched Fast X last night, and if you haven't seen my review, make sure you go to it and watch it. And I have some in-depth thoughts that I want to put out into the world. So that's what I'm doing with this video. So I despised the ending of this movie, and I'm going to break it down for three different reasons. The very first reason is that we get this reveal that Alan Richardson's character is actually working with Dante. Now, this reveal doesn't work for me for a few reasons. The main reason is that it was so obvious. Like, duh, of course he was. Like, was anybody surprised by this in the slightest bit? The first time I saw his character, I'm like, oh, he's working with Dante. And then if you also look back in scenes in the movie where they arrest Vin Diesel, that scene makes it very obvious. The scene where he's following Dante and then he just loses him, that made it very obvious. It was the most predictable plot twist, like, in a very long time. But another reason why this reveal sucks is because he's on a plane and Vin Diesel is about to meet up with him. And then, like, the next time we see him, a minute later, that he's out of the plane, there's no sign of the plane, and he's standing on top of a random location with a rocket launcher. And I'm like, how did he get from there to there in like 1 minute? Just very choppy walk. And it actually made me laugh. It was just so absurd. The next reason why I really despise the ending, and this is actually the primary reason, is because it tries to be all dramatic, and John Cena sacrifices himself and dies to protect Dom. Which, by the way, even if he actually was dead, is not something that works. It would be more meaningful if Dom sacrificed himself to save John Cena. But everybody loves Dominic. Everyone has to sacrifice themselves for Dominic. Why? Because Vin Diesel has his head so far up his ass. So anyways, John Cena sacrifices himself and he's dead. And then Alan Richardson's character shoots down the plane that Tyrese Gibson, Ludacris, and the Ramsey girl is on, and they die. So they want you to think, oh my god, these characters are dead, when we all know that is not the case. You don't see the bodies, therefore they're not dead, and also it's the Fast and Furious franchise. Nobody's ever dead. The next movie's going to begin, and it's going to be like Jason Statham being like, somehow they have returned. And that's just going to be it. Death means nothing in this universe. I mean, you've got Han coming back. You've got quite a few characters who have come back, including as soon as they have John Cena and everyone else dying, they immediately cut to Gal Gadot coming back to life, and now she's in this franchise again, even though she died in the 6th movie. So you tried to have the wait, and then you immediately told us that it's not going to last. And I just think when nobody dies in movies, it just makes it feel hollow. It makes it feel empty. You know, death gives things meaning. It gives stories weight. And it also adds tension and thrills, and when it feels like the characters are immortal and invincible, you just got yourself a very bland, forgettable action movie, and that's definitely the case here. And then the final reason why it's a terrible ending is because of how it ends. So they drive down the dam, and Dante's like, I knew you would do that, and I prepared for that. So it turns out there's all these bombs on the dam, and he's about to blow them up, and the movie just ends. Like, what an unsatisfying ending. The fact that this got approved in post-production is so stupid. Now, if he kidnaps Dom's kid, and yeah, like that would be a better cliffhanger ending. But the fact that it's, oh no, is Dom going to die? We all know he's not going to. Within 5 minutes of the next movie, Dom's going to survive this somehow, and it's going to turn out that everyone is alive, and then everything's just going to go the way it was. This ending has no weight, but it's also just in the middle of a scene. Could you imagine if, let me think of a good example. If, Catching Fire ended right when the action's picking up, Katniss gets hit, she's about to shoot the arrow, and it just ends there, and you have to wait to see what happens next. That's not an owned ending. There's nothing about this that feels like a complete movie. It just ends in the middle of a scene. Like, okay, you got a movie like Dune, and I do not like the ending of Dune, just because the entire movie feels like half a movie, which is exactly how it is. But I at least like the fact that, you know, there's some ending point to this first part. If we never got a part 2, I'd be like, well, I don't like this movie at all. But, like, at least it ends at the end of a scene, at a logical point. And here, it just isn't. Like, what if Mission Impossible Fallout ended right when Tom Cruise and Henry Cavill were fighting on top of a cliff, and the bomb's ticking down, and then it just ends? Like, that's just not good writing. That's not satisfying. That's not a complete movie. You know, like, I already brought up Catching Fire. Great ending, because at least the Hunger Games in that movie wrapped up, and at least it ended on a note where you can't wait to see what happens next. Mockingjay Part 1. Yes, hot take, I love it. I know you all hate it, whatever. I love it, always have, always will. But I love the ending of that movie, because the point of that movie is that they're trying to rescue Peter. They rescued Peter, and it ended on a note, well, it's not as easy as they thought it was going to be. And it still feels like a complete movie to me. Not a complete franchise, but a complete movie. Infinity War. Thanos snapped, everybody died, and you know, he did it. He completed his mission. Now, I know you could say, well, Gavin, you complain about the fact you know that nobody in this movie's dead. Couldn't you use that same logic to Infinity War? And I'd argue no, because here's the thing. Infinity War, yes, I knew they were all going to come back. Come on, it was obvious. As soon as Black Panther faded away, I'm like, oh, yeah, like, no one's really dead here. But I didn't know how. And that was most of the meat of Endgame. Of them going through time to get these Infinity Stones to bring them back. And because there was also that 5-year gap, it also means that the rate carried on. This movie's everything's going to be fixed in 5 seconds. So, yeah, I just think it's a truly atrocious ending, and I don't see people being satisfied with it at all. And since it's already a spoiler review, I want to touch on some other things real quick. Okay, so is that actually anything to discuss? Okay, well, you got everything with Tyrese Gibson and Ludacris and Ramsey, and it just feels like they're going from character to character. Oh, they run into Pete Davidson, and oh, now they run into Jason Statham. Like, it just felt like there was no purpose to their story whatsoever. Everything with Michelle Rodriguez felt completely out of place, and like I said, she fights Charlize Theron after they work together, and then she goes on her own, realizes she can't, comes back down, they work together, and that's the ending of her story. And now they're working with Gal Gadot. And then Vin Diesel is just, I don't know, like, this movie is so bloated. There's so much plot and so many characters, but nothing has weight, and at the same time, it feels like nothing is going on. It's just a terribly written movie in every single aspect, and this villain who's 2 steps ahead of the hero, I don't know, I just don't think this was a good version of that villain, and even the action wasn't really like dumb fun. Like Fast 5 has the bank vault scene, which is really fun. Fast and Furious 6 has the highway chase with the tank and the one-way scene. That was great. Furious 7 has the Dubai scene. There's a scene where Dwayne Johnson flexes and breaks his cast, and I'm just like, okay, like these have some good action. They're the right amount of dumb fun, but like here, Vin Diesel cannot carry this movie. He just can't. I don't think this movie is nearly self-aware enough. I think it takes itself too seriously, and at the same time, it still manages to be too stupid. So like it's just a movie that fails for me on every single level. And like I said in my other review, everything in this movie has been done to death in this franchise already. There was nothing fresh. Oh, and I totally forgot. We just keep cutting back to John Cena and Dom's kid time and time again. Like, why? Why do we need that? So yeah, this movie is just shit. I really hated the ending. I feel like, yeah, just, yeah. But anyways, what are your thoughts on the ending of Fast X? Do you think it's a satisfying cliffhanger that leaves you wanting more? Or did you leave the theater pretty pissed off? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin, out.